When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. Now this is The Son of Brainiac, Part 5. A few weeks has passed since Dobby decided to work under Deku. Dobby only has one boss in his eyes. He has no respect for the crusty lip bastard that goes by the name Shigaraki. He'll act like a humble servant in public. But Dobby clearly doesn't like the bastard. Dobby has no doubt his new boss will kill the bastard eventually. Dobby decided to catch up with Deku to see what's next on the agenda. Dobby was walking through the several hallways, eventually getting into the elevator and pressing one of the buttons that will lead him to the laboratory where Deku is usually at if he's not on a mission for the League of Villains. Dobby spotted Deku once he entered the main laboratory, filling with different holographic image of different type of humanoid and animal like killer robot designs. Good timing, Dobby. The League are finally acting. I've been ordered to infiltrate the Hero Academy, UA, to get some much needed documents to see the roster of who is going on this year's USJ trip. That's going to happen in a few months. The USJ, it's some sort of facility so they can practice rescue exercises for the students of the Hero Academy, apparently. They do it every year to see their progress on their training. I do find it fascinating that your species has a thing called heroes, called a hero school. You're not the only planet with people that call themselves heroes, but they don't have an academy for them. Hold up, there's other heroes on other planets? Indeed there are. There's one world specifically I know of that does have these heroes. But they don't have no academy for such things on that planet. It is a fascinating concept. Heroes being regulated by their government. Very fascinating. Easily to be corrupted, but fascinating nonetheless. But we can have that conversation on a later date. I have no doubt you have questions on my plans. Not gonna lie, boss. I'm quite curious. Well, you see, I have several projects in motion. From a single command, my true motives will be revealed to everyone, but until then, I'm going to learn everything I can about these quirks your species have developed. But when that's done, the invasion will finally begin. I have a sinking feeling that probably won't take you very long. Indeed, it won't. I'm not as intelligent as my father, but something like this won't take me long. I have already learned quite a bit from all the live samples that All for One granted me. And the robotic killing army that the League wants for future use is already in process of mass producing. That's all you need to know for now. And trust me. And I trust that what this I trust this conversation will be kept between me and you. I would have to hate to kill you. After all, I'm already getting accustomed of your presence here. Trust me, boss, my lips are sealed. But what about the other villain groups? I have no doubt they'll be a threat for whatever your plans are that you already have in motion. Do bring up a good point. I haven't really thought about the other villain groups. I can't keep an unknown factor like that to fester. Would be a very fatal effort on my part to leave that to develop. They do need to be neutralized before they become a real threat to my plans. But before we could do anything about them, it would be my best interest to do a little bit more recruiting. I thought the League was already done recruiting for now. Not the League. I need the recruits personally. What I have planned for the future, I need more of your species on my side. Once I'm done infiltrating the USJ as whatever role I will take in that Pacific mission by Shigaraki. It'll be smart for me to start recruiting while that's going on. Multitasking, Dobby. Multitasking. I need you to go out and find information on powerful quirk users. Take care of it, boss. Very well. Here, take this. As Deku tosses a small device over to Dobby. Dobby caught it in his hands. What's this, boss? It's a portal device, so you have access to go back and forth without having to rely on my portal abilities. Worry not. No one else could use it. It already has been programmed by your DNA. You turn it on by your genetic code. You just have to think. You just have to think where you want to go, and it'll take you there as long as you've already been there. Got it, boss. I'll get straight to work. As Dobby activated the strange disc device and activated it, as a silver portal appears as Dobby walked through to the portal, as the portal closed immediately afterward. Deku swiped his hands, revealing a holographic image of a 6-armed humanoid robot with a singular eye, with a long tail. Each of his 6 arms has a blazing looking like meat cleavers. Deku waves his hand once again as the holographic image disappears, as he proceeds to get dressed. by entering one of the side rooms and getting ready to infiltrate the Hero Academy to retrieve most needed information on the roster of the class who's going to the USJ. Deku came out of the room wearing a black hoodie. He placed his face guard over the lower part of his face. Deku opened a green-looking digital portal and covered his head with his hoodie, concealing his face, with only thing visible is his black face mask over the lower part of his face. He stepped through the green digital portal. When he came on the other side of the portal, he is in a deserted alleyway, still in the sealed part of the city, where villains have mostly complete control over. Deku proceeded to exit through the alleyway, and stuck his hands in his hoodie pocket, and began to walk down the sidewalk of the deserted street. Civilians are out, just criminals and villains. Deku is currently in a territory of another villain group that took control of part of this city. The villain territory is known as the Villain Zone. This place is called from the outside more civilized people of the city. Deku is unsure whose territory he's in, but he doesn't really care. It's not like anyone on this pathetic planet could even give him a challenge outside of Yuri. But if that new god becomes a hindrance to his goals, he'll have to kill her regardless. Deku might have a great respect for Yuri and her capabilities of combat. He respects her as a warrior, but if she gets in his way, he'll strike her down without a second thought. Once Deku got closer to the boundaries of the Villain Zone, it's clearly evident the military has tightened security around the boundaries of the Villain Zone. Every entrance has a checkpoint, and random vehicles patrolling the area with heavy armed vehicles, with all the Japanese soldiers carrying automatic rifles and cork suppressor military support gear, ready to be used at the slightest twitch. Deku was impressed by the high security. He only has a few options that he could use to get past the security checkpoints. He could kill one of the soldiers and copy his appearance after going through his memories. Or he could fly, but the guard posts all around the boundaries, he definitely would be noticed. Or he could use his invisibility, a power he hasn't used before. He's a biological android. All of the abilities he hasn't used before. He automatically knows how to use them. After a few trial and errors, he finally got the hang of his invisibility, as a green glowing outline could be seen all over his body. When the glow stopped, Deku's body completely disappeared. Deku proceeded to go through the heavy guarded checkpoints and get access to the rest of the city and getting away from the Villain Zone. He easily passed through the Villain Zone without a hitch. No one saw him. His soldiers could sense him, but they ultimately thought it was their imagination. Their minds playing tricks on them. That was the only close calls. Once he got far away enough from one of the entrants to the villain zone, he deactivated his invisibility and continued his path to the Hero Academy called UA. When Deku got to the location, he decided to stake out the school for a couple days. There's no reason for him to rush in. He needs to see everyone's habits and where they go. He doesn't know where the location of the information he needs to find. So he sent out several round sentry brainiac bots. The ability to cloak themselves, making them completely invisible. At the same time, sending him a holographic image of the layout of the school. Deku might be playing a villain for now, but that doesn't make him stupid. He's not going to rush into a unexplored location, into the very academy that produces heroes on this planet. Needs to proceed with caution if Deku wants to keep his presence unnoticed. Fortunately, there's no nearby buildings near the academy, but fortunately for Deku, that's not a problem. He made his way to the closest building nearest to the school, stood there on the roof, waiting for the holographic image of the layout of the school to be complete by his stealth brainiac bots. It didn't take long for his brainiac bots. It didn't take his brainiac bots very long to get the full layout of the school to their master. Deku was very fortunate that the local news press made a perfect diversion when he approached the Hero Academy. While invisible, he easily snuck past all of the reporters and heroes without a hitch, just easily passing through the front gate. Deku easily walked past Midnight and a few other of the heroes that are working as teachers. Deku made his way into the campus, still invisible. It didn't take him long to find the room where the information is stored. The moment he entered the room, he noticed his mind was being invaded. He could easily repel who's ever trying to gain access to his mind. He was simply curious on who dares try to attempt to such a thing, to enter his mind. So he allowed them in to see who dares try to do such a feat. Deku entered his mindscape. Deku's mindscape was a deserted city, with the city itself black, with red, crimson colored windows. The city seemed to go on for endless, as a green thunderstorm could be seen and heard. You've been a very bad boy, Deku-kun. The green-haired woman with green eyes, glowing, stepped out of the shadows of one of the alleyways in the mindscape. You sure have an interesting mindscape. Most complex that I've seen so far. You're either very arrogant or very confident in your abilities to enter someone's mind. Has the capabilities to make their own mindscape. But I'll indulge you. Introductions are in order. Heaven me, oh heavens me, I'm being rude. Name's Inca. I've been keeping track of your activities ever since you joined the League of Villains. As their competitor, I keep an eye on all promising recruits from other villain groups. So I take it you're one of those leaders of one of those other villain organizations operating in the villain zone. Sharp one, but you're correct. I lead a group of villains, much like the League of Villains. We're not so gun-ho on killing the number one hero, All Might, like your league is. Don't get me wrong, I'm a villain through and through. Qualms of killing anyone gets in my way. But I was a bit surprised you allowed me into your Mindscape so easily. No resistance. I was curious on who was even attempting to invade my mind. It would be suicidal to come in here being hostile. Not the only one who was curious. But I wonder why someone so powerful is working with the League of Villains in the first place. What I've seen you do so far, you're clearly powerful. I would even say you're even more powerful than your little villain group's leader himself. All for one. Interesting. So you knew of All for One. Of course I would. I know who he is. He's a big topic in the criminal underworld. Never seen the man in person, but I know of him by reputation. You don't seem to be typed to be the following type. I'm no fool, Deku. Someone like you just don't follow orders by an inferior. I gotta admit, for a human, you're quite clever. Nico did catch that comment. It seemed weird how he phrased that, but she she stored that away for a future date. And spoke up. I only invaded your mind to ask this simple question. What are you after, really? I'm after a lot of things, Lady Inko. Yet again, Inko raised a single eyebrow at that comment. And I have a feeling you're not going to tell me. Now, don't rush things. Why would I reveal such sensitive information? After all, we just met. But I'll give you this. I might be a member of the League of Villains, but that doesn't make them my allies. When the time's right, and when I deem it necessary, the League of Villains will die alongside with their leader. I'll give you a bit of friendly advice. Don't get in my way. The other villain factions that might pose a threat to my goals will be eliminated. It would be a shame if I would have to kill you. Of course, Deku. I personally like living, so I'll try my best not to let that happen. It's good to know that you're not completely loyal to the League of Villains. Maybe we could come up with an arrangement. You've piqued my interest. Continue. As Inko and Deku talk to each other, you soon find out a little more about this villain group that Inko runs. They're only villains because of circumstance. Everyone in the villain group that she controls has their own circumstance. From having too powerful quirk, or having a villain quirk, or simply because people kept looking down onto them. Interesting offer. I might take you up on that. But for now, I have no doubt we will meet again. Until next time, as Deku forcefully threw Inko out of his mindscape. Deku returned back to the normal world and shut the door to the room. Might have been talking for a while in his mind, but in reality, only a few seconds has passed. Once he entered the room, Deku could see the room is filled with monitors and large computer towers. After going through the security through the computer, the mainframe, he found the information what he was looking for and immediately copied it on a flash drive of the student roster alongside with some interesting information that the number one hero, All Might, himself, was listed on the roster of the USJ as a teacher. So the rumors are true. He is going to be a teacher for UA. Things are getting interesting. I hope you live up to your name, number one hero. It would be a shame if you are nothing but a weakling. After all, you have an entire villain group after your very life. I would hate to have to waste my time on this. Deku took the flash drive out of the huge computer and placed it in his pocket as he left the room and made his way out of the academy, still invisible, and walked out the front gate with no one the wiser of his presence. He eventually made it back to the League and handed over the information, and immediately left the bar back to his laboratory. Deku spent the next few days, or time left, doing research and continuing his work on several projects he has going on at the same time. The day finally arrived for the USJ attack. Deku was in the League of Villains base of operation in the old bar with a strange-looking creature called the Nomu. He glanced at the abomination a few times, but gave it no mind. The thing wasn't a threat. He could destroy this lab experiment gone wrong easily if he wanted to. But he wanted to see how things play out. Deku was the first one to portal and proceed. Deku was the first one to act as he opened the portal, as he proceeded to release a very small brainiac box, producing a continuous pulse that will jam any communication in and out of the USJ that uses this planet's current technology. Small brainiac bots itself are as small as flies. He had to release several dozen of them to get the results he was looking for. He only gave the single as to inform Shigaraki that stage 1 is complete. Now the league just needs to wait for the students to arrive. Deku activated his communication while still invisible, watching the students arrive at the USJ. The brat has arrived, Shigaraki. You're free to go. It's time for me to make my grand entrance on the stage. After all, I am the final boss. To Deku's annoyance, it didn't take Shigaraki long to make his grand entrance. Make his grand speech of he's the leader of the League of Villains, blah blah blah. Deku tuned him out after he kept ranting about how great he is and how he's here to kill All Might. Apparently, everything didn't go according to plan, considering the main target of the league is currently not present. But the league proceeded regardless and separated all the students by using Kirigiri's warp gate. Deku did notice one of the students was making a run for the exit. Kirigiri was about to stop Ida from escaping until Deku stopped him by placing his hand on his shoulder. Let the brat go. Let that one escape. Not that I don't mind, but why? The plan hasn't changed. We're here for one specific reason, to kill All Might, correct? That you correct? And considering we're missing a hero, allowing that brat to escape will most likely draw the number one hero once he hears and finds out the Class 1A is in danger. I have no doubt he'll come running and bringing the number one hero to us. Of course, we'll have a short window of opportunity before reinforcements arrive. Very well, I see your logic. I'll inform the young master of the changes on the plan. Good, now that's taken care of. I'll go play with some of the students. I'll return once All Might makes his grand entrance. Have no doubt that arrogant fool will make one. I just hope he doesn't wait too long to make his presence known. If not, there won't be any students left. As Deku used his digital portal to portal away in a random spot in the USJ. That simple word, that simple conversation made Kirigiri very unnerved, even for him. When Deku walked out of his digital portal, he could hear several explosions inside that two-story structure to Deku's right. He got curious and made his way over to the building and went through the front entrance, still cloaked. Deku walked through the building as he could hear explosions continuously upstairs as he slowly begins to walk to the second story of the building, going up the stairs. Deku turned off his powers of making him invisible and walked into a bigger room as a red flash crashed through the door, hitting the opposite side of the wall of the room as Kirishima coughed up spit when he made contact with the wall of the room. I'm gonna feel that in the morning. Man, that villain guy was super strong. He cracked through my hardening cork. It's definitely not good. A hardening cork, you say? Kirishima's danger sense went off and jumped onto his feet and immediately hop backwards to get some distance. To Deku's right. Who are you? As Kirishima get into a fighting stance. You have impressive instincts for a brat. You're not even a hero yet. And you already have impressive instincts. For who I am, I go by Deku. Judging by that outfit, you're definitely not with the heroes, so you must be a villain. Deku's inner thoughts. He's an idiot. It might because he has a hardening cork of rock. Whatever. I suppose I would be, little hero. I'm quite interested in your abilities. I wish to see your quirk in action. I'm also curious about the explosions as well. Kirishima's eyes narrowed. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you're not going anywhere near Bakugo. I'm going to defeat you here and now. Kirishima immediately blitzed forward, swinging his hand for a punch, only to see his opponent catch his fist with one hand, stopping his momentum. So the explosion quirk user goes by Bakugo. Interesting. But for you, as Deku narrowed his eyes at Kirishima, you're way out of your league, boy. Deku proceeded to slam his knee into Kirishima's stomach as Kirishima coughed up spit from that singular attack. Then Deku proceeded to land a spin kick across Kirishima's face, making Kirishima go skidding backwards from the impact of Deku's kick. Fascinating. I'm clearly holding back my strength, but with the amount of strength I did use, he pretty much tanked the complete force of my kick. I could see his hardening quirk cover the side of his face before my kick made contact with his face and absorbing the physical force. That sort of pure instinct is hard to come by. It's not taught. You're either born with it or you're not born with it. You're either born with it or you're born without it. Kirishima rolled out of the way of a green lightning bolt being thrown at him by the villain that goes by Deku. Before anyone, before Deku and Kirishima could make their next move, the villain that was fighting Bakugo came flying through the same entryway that Kirishima was tossed through earlier. There you are, rock bastard. Get your shit together, we have villains to fight. Who's this loser? His name is Deku, apparently he's with the villains. He's dangerous. Bakugo scoff. I highly doubt that, rock bastard. Hey, green hair bastard. So you must be the one that's been creating the explosions. I've heard so much about you by your friend, Bakugo. Bakugo narrowed his eyes. Enough chit-chat, you green hair bastard. I'm here to kick your ass. Being a villain is done. I'm taking you down now. You think it's a bit unfair, hero? Cry me a river villain. No, you misunderstood me, Blondie. I'm saying it's unfair. In your benefit. The likelihood of you winning against me is impossible for a weakling like you. Add a villain to the mix. Your chances are none. Bakugo grind his teeth. By hearing that green hair bastard calling him weak. There's one thing he despises, is people looking down on him. I'm not really interested in fighting 2-on-2. It's boring. So let's make it more interesting, shall we? Bakugo narrowed his eyes, not knowing what he meant by that. Without warning, Deku grabbed the recovering villain by the throat and lifted him up in the middle of the air. What the hell you're doing, you crazy bastard? We're on the same team. No, we're not. You're an insect. As Deku tore off the man's head, off of his body, as blood begins to burst out of the headless corpse, Deku tossed the severed head out of the villain out of the window as he dropped the headless corpse to the ground. Bakugo's eyes widen how brutally he killed his own comrade. Bakugo might be arrogant, pretty much all the time, and usually rude all the time as well. But there's one line he won't cross. Killing another living being is something he would never do. That's why he's always continuously training himself to control his explosions so he doesn't accidentally kill someone in the field or in training. Deku noticed Kirishima's throwing up, seeing such a brutal scene. Bakugo couldn't blame him. Only reason he's keeping his stomach is out of pure will of character. Let's see what you got, brat. And don't disappoint me. I've had enough of you, green hair bastard. You want to see what I got? I'll gladly show you what I got. Bakugo charged forward, giving Kirishima enough time to get his shit together. He could tell this battle is not going to be easy. Not one bit. But Bakugo didn't care. Bakugo created an explosion and set it off towards Deku. To his shock and horror, Deku caught the explosion, concealed it in a mental bubble that is completely invisible to the naked eye, and redirected the explosion back to his creator and flew it right into Bakugo's stomach as he fly out of the building. Deku flash stepped right behind Kirishima and kicked him in the back, made him go flying out of the window, landing right next to Bakugo. Deku just floated out of the window and landed near them. Kirishima was the first one to act when he finally got onto his feet and rushed forward. Deku caught his fist once again and lifted him up with his one hand and slammed him into the ground. And tossed Kirishima with his telekinesis as he shot off like a rocket through the vast forest in the current zone they're in the USJ, that's filled with trees. Bakugo used his chance to charge forward and release an explosion in Deku's face, as Bakugo has a smirk on his face. After he defeats Bastard, he'll check up on his comrade, Kirishima. He finds him extremely annoying, but he could usually count on him. Bakugo's smirk immediately left his face when the smoke cleared to see Deku completely unharmed. There wasn't even the slightest burn on his clothes or singed hair on the top of his head. My turn. Deku created a condensed green fireball that shot into Bakugo's chest. As a small green explosion was created, making Bakugo fly backwards, skidding across the grass. Go finally stopped rolling around like a rag doll. He glared up at Deku. How are you doing this, you green hair freak? How did you tank my explosion? You weren't even slightly damaged. That shouldn't be possible. It is, little hero. Is that all you have? How disappointing. I expected much. I expected more from you. I believe it's my turn now. Deku blitzed forward, making after images of himself, and slam a palm strike into Bakugo's stomach. Deku grabbed Bakugo's shoulder and slammed his knee into his stomach, then tossed him into a tree using his telekinesis. Bakugo struggled up to get to his feet. Deku was about to continue until he got a communication through his communicator in his ear. About time he showed up. It seems like we have to. It seems like we have to continue this at a later date, little hero. After all, it's not every day you witness the number one hero in action. Deku created a digital portal and reappeared right next to Shigaraki. Excellent work. Now I know why you left that one you allowed that one to escape. He pointed at the returning Ida, who escaped earlier in return to retrieve All Might. It didn't take long for All Might to make himself known, as Shigaraki informed Deku of the current events. Deku glanced at the battlefield. One of the hero teachers is on the ground, unconscious, heavily injured in his right arm. Huh, that must be Eraserhead. His appearance matches his profile. As Deku glances at the number one hero, fighting the League of Villains creation, the Nomu, in the distance. That's where we're going to stop it. Hope you guys have a good night and day. Judged by time, so I'll catch you in the next video.